Yeah. Let's not watch the show, Brandon.
Shocking that Nick said something when I wasn't around.
He was talking about the Chiefs, and he interrupted himself. Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys now. Hey, it's hard to describe the year this Cowboys team has been having. Inconsistent, underachieving, over, and then maybe underwhelming at times. All right, so maybe it's not hard to describe their season. Looking to bounce back after last Thursday's terrible loss on Thanksgiving and facing the Bears this Thursday night. Ezekiel Elliott has heard all the criticism. He was asked about it at practice on Sunday. Here's what he had to say.
We're just angry that we're not where we expect ourselves to be, and just angry that things haven't been going the way that we want them to go. So, I mean, we just got to channel that the right way, come in like we did today, go to work, and just, trust the process and go out there and play better football.
All this does being in this position is add the doubters, and that should allow the chip on the shoulder to grow. Get the people off the bandwagon and just know it's about us, the people in this locker room that have to go out there and execute, and it just allows this locker room to get tighter.
Coach, do you see a way the Cowboys can turn things around? Maybe make a deep playoff run with where they are right now?
Yeah, but need to get away from all the talking. And whether it's the post-game tirade that goes on, and I know Michael Bennett has experience with winning programs, but to come in and blast the team after the game, and he hasn't been there very long. So there's that element. There's the chippiness that they're talking about in practice. There's the chip on the shoulder that we just heard about. I don't know how much closer the locker room can get with the amount of adversity that they've had. And at some point, you've got to push that stuff aside and really just focus on the task at hand. And Jerry with the a vote of confidence and all those things, and adding pressure to the coaching staff. You can't add any more pressure than what they're under. You can't add. You're not going to change anything by doing that. And sometimes in life and sometimes in sports, you have to actually take a step back and decompress a little bit so that you can play at a level that you should be playing at. Guys get so pressured up and so worked up about trying to find an answer that they can't actually function the way that they should function.
Coach, well, two things. One is with the Michael Bennett thing, is it fair to maybe put that in a slightly different category only because he did that, he thought, behind closed doors? He was just so loud that other people heard it. Like, that wasn't a public statement. It was an outburst that became public because people heard it outside of the locker room. Like, he didn't go on a rant to the media. He wasn't trying to send a message outside of the locker room. At least to me, that's a little different than Dak in front of the microphones saying what he said. To answer your question, Jenna, I do not think they can. I think in the NFL, unless you have had some devastating injuries where everyone's getting healthy at the end of the season, you usually are about what your record says you are. And the Cowboys record says they are the definition of a league average team. They're league average they're at 500, there's about 15 teams better than them, 15, 16 teams worse than them, and just eye test. They beat really bad teams, aside from the Jets. They lose to the good teams. That is who they have been all year. So I don't think they go on a playoff run. But Dak's comments irritated me, and I like Dak the way he's conducting himself his whole time in the league. So maybe irritated is an unfair word, but they rub me wrong because the chip on your shoulder, no one believes in us thing, I get playing that when people have every reason to believe in you and they still aren't. If a New England Patriot came out today and said, you know what? We're 10-2, and everyone's acting like the sky's falling. No problem. Stay off the bandwagon. We'll see at the end of the year. Then at least I get it. Richard Sherman with his commentary.
Richard Sherman did it in San Francisco.
Right, when it's like don't jump on it now. We know you think we're paper tigers. The reason people don't believe in the Cowboys is because the games are on television, and we've watched them. Like we're not doubting you. We are accurately and fairly commentating on how you've done. And so Dak, to me, what teams that are underachieving or struggling often do, and you see it in Philadelphia, is they just reach for different motivational triggers because what they've been pressing or reaching for isn't working. That, to me, is what the Cowboys are doing right now, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is simple for me. The Cowboys coach, they're not a smart team, right? I think that's what it comes down to it for me. I'm over the Cowboys now since the Patriots game, when I was able to watch the game and watch it very closely and see that they weren't controlling the things that they control. You can control punt pro, meaning that you should never give up a block punt, right? You shouldn't be jumping off sides, especially in crucial moments. They're not a sound football team. And that starts from the
Should be
top
able to
all the way
line
down
up
to
on
the
a
players.
kickoff and understand that they're pooch kicking.
You got to understand that. Do I fair catch this? Do I catch it? Do I go up and block? Or do I let my return man come up and hit? These are things that we literally, as from a player's perspective, we literally walk through, it seems like, every single day for like an hour on just situational football. And that's what it comes down to. You can talk about all the talent in the world. You can talk about all the players. You can talk about all the X's and O's. But it comes down to making the right decision in those crucial moments.
Coach, how big is the gap between the potential on this team and where they actually are?
That's a great question, because I think Nick's point is fair. You are typically what your record says you are, and as much
That's why I asked.
But as much as you want to say they should be something more, could they be something more? Could you argue that they could be something more? Look, I've always had questions about Dak and how much of a force multiplier he is. There's a lot of talk about how good this defense is, but they're close to last in the league in generating turnovers, and they've had problems at different points in the year. You know, being out-coached by New England, a lot of people have been out-coached by New England, but there were quite a few examples of situational awareness that could have been better. This is a frustrating team, and they're frustrated, and people that watch it are frustrated because you do see that element of underachieving, and now you see the element of stretching. The last game where Jason goes for it on fourth and one from his own
20, up 7 in the second quarter.
I love the idea of taking some chances and trying to change the narrative and change the momentum, but you don't take those types of chances. That just felt more like desperation than calculated risk.
And Coach said it. It's too much talk, too much noise. And you look at that situation, 4th and 1 on your own 20, right? That's probably where that comes from. The owner is in your ear. You have media, players, all these little small groups. I call them small groups in the locker room, right? Guys start getting together. And this is when your team starts breaking down. Let's get together. It's like, man, what do you think about that call? You know, I don't like this. This isn't working. And that starts to deteriorate your team from the inside out. But the number one thing you always have to do is you always have to protect the inside of that building. All this noise, only thing we should be talking about right now is we're going to turn it around. We're going to do our job.